Okay. So yeah, I was going to talk about existence and reality, but when we postponed our session, I had a better subject to talk about, which is going to be time travel.
Okay.
And I hope this is going to be more interesting for each one, inshallah. All right, it's loading. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any question, guys? All right. After that, we're gonna talk about time travel actually, and we're gonna try to simplify the concept of time travel. So if we ask ourselves first, like how many dimensions can we experience? Actually, we can experience the x-axis. We can move like this way. We can experience the y-axis, also the z-axis. We can jump and go upstairs. And
I'm sorry, Nabut, you cannot turn your video on?
I don't think it's gonna work because I'm holding the.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. In real life, we can experience these three dimensions. We can go from this point to this point. We can walk in every direction actually. But we can also experience the fourth dimension, which is by Albert Einstein's theory of relativity is time. So we can actually go from this place to this place just by moving in time. We can go from our current state in the beginning of the presentation to our state at the end of the presentation. This is our way of traveling in time. But the only difference between the fourth and the first three dimensions is that we can move in both directions in the place dimensions, but in time we can only go in one direction only, which is forward. But in the x direction, we can go positive or negative. Also, that we can go up or down. So this is one way to explain the concept of time travel. If we have a way to not only travel in positive direction, we can like stop at one point or go backwards. This is gonna be time traveling for us. Another approach to the time travel concept is we all know the equation that velocity equals the change in distance over the change of time. So we can say that velocity or speed is inversely proportional with time. So the if we assume that the distance is fixed, it's not changing, and we said that the higher speed we have, if you want to be faster, you have to cross this distance in lesser time. It's also applicable if you're gonna say that if you increase your speed, then your time will be minimized or will be decreased. So at one point, if you increase this speed to undefined number or maybe infinite number, this time is gonna be equals to 0. So time will stop if your speed is infinite or undefined number, whatever it is. So given that distance is fixed and we can have our speed to be infinite, or by relativity theory, it's going to be equal to the speed of light, then the time will stop. And actually, if we exceed, but we cannot exceed the speed of light, but if we do and exceed it, time will be negative in this case, and we're going to go back in time. And that's actually the thing that Superman did in the comics when he flied around the Earth to get time back. So after that, we have before we talk about time travel, we have to address these concepts first. The first one is the chaos theory and the butterfly effect. And basically, the butterfly effect is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions, in which small change in one state of deterministic non-linear system can result in large differences in later states. Simply, the butterfly effect is stating that if a butterfly will flutter its wings, it's gonna cause a hurricane in another place in the Earth, because it's so complicated, it's non-linear, and it's a deterministic system. It's so complex. So any small change will gonna get is gonna affect the result. So sensitive dependence on initial conditions. If the butterfly is our initial condition, if it makes any difference, it's gonna have like enormous effects. Maybe it's kind of complex to explain this one, so we're gonna go with a linear system to explain the butterfly effect, and it's domino effect. So if you start with a really small domino like this one, and then it's followed with a slightly bigger domino, and we increase the size every step, we're gonna get to this huge domino that will actually affect the Eiffel Tower. So this is the small effect of a really tiny domino on a really big tower. That is simply like this is how it works in a linear system. So if we're going to talk about non-linear system, just suppose that we're going to duplicate or clone these dominoes and put them in different directions, like this way and that way. And the slightest differences in the smallest domino is going to affect a lot of other things in a lot of different directions. And now we're going to talk about the time traveling as it is, as we deal with right now, is actually science fiction. It has a scientific background, but it's still fiction. It's not proven. No one has done it yet, and because no one has done it yet, that means that no one will do it in the future. Because if he will do it in the future, he will come to us in the past and tell us. So it's not really applicable. But if you want to make a science fiction about time travel, you have to answer this question first, which is the grandfather paradox. The grandfather paradox simply is, if this one is your grandfather and he is going to get married, then your father will exist. Then your father will get married, then you will exist. And if you get a time machine and you go back in time and try to kill your grandfather, then he will not get married, then your father won't exist, then you will not exist, then you will not go back and kill him, so he will get married and your father will exist, and then
Excuse
you will
me,
exist.
Nabut, explain again this thing.
The grandfather paradox?
Yeah.
Okay. It states that given that your grandfather has been exists, and when he was young, then he got older and he got married, and your father was born. Then your father
Okay.
got older and he got married, and then you were born.
Okay.
Then if you have a time machine and you try to go back in time
Yeah.
to kill your grandfather, then okay, your grandfather will not exist. That means he will not get married. That means your father will not exist. That means your father will not get married. That means you will not exist. That means you will not kill him.
I will not what?
Kill your grandfather because you don't even exist.
Okay.
So in this case, you will not kill him. In this case, he's going to get married and get your father, and your father will still get married and get you. And you will go back in time and try to kill him, and you will not. And if you kill him, you're gonna. So this is a paradox. It's not solvable.
Yeah, I know,
It's
but
complicated.
why killing in the first place?
Because like this is the extreme condition of extreme condition that actually can say that time travel is impossible. Because if anyone can time travel, then at least one person can do this and kill his grandfather. So that means it's not going to happen. Like this is how you mathematical induction, or like how you try to prove that something is false. You just get one case that is gonna destroy this argument he's making.
So that's why it
So
doesn't exist. Time travel doesn't exist.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So if you're gonna make a science fiction movie about time travel, you have first to answer this
Okay.
question. Like you
Okay,
have
okay,
to
I
find a
got it now.
solution to it. Okay. The other question is how you're gonna deal with multiplicity. Like this multiplicity is not. This is a movie, but it's not about time travel. It's about cloning, like in biology. But the problem of multiplicity is like if I'm right now, I'm gonna go back one day to yesterday, and I'm gonna meet myself. Am I gonna find myself there? Like it's gonna be two versions of me, or I'm gonna just be me but 1 year younger. So this question also has to be answered before you uh, uh, address before you address the time travel concept in your science fiction. All right. Okay. Now we'll move into the two main approaches of time travel that has been issued before in novels or movies or whatever. So there is like two approaches. First one is deterministic time travel. The second one is non-deterministic. Deterministic means that you can't really change what has been happened before, what has happened before, because it is deterministic. It cannot be changed. Uh, Examples of it, maybe Tenet. I guess that Tenet is a deterministic time travel movie. Some people think it's not deterministic, but from what I understand from the movie Tenet, I guess it is deterministic because you can't change the past no matter what you do. Also, the movie that exactly talks about deterministic time travel is Predestination. It illustrates it very well. It gives you the. I'm not gonna spoil the movie for you, but it explains the idea very plainly and very good to understand how you cannot ever change what has been happening. And in fact, like the movie The Terminator, if you're gonna go back in time, you're just gonna make sure that what has happened is gonna happen over and over again. This is the deterministic time travel, and I have a concept myself. Like if you're gonna travel in time, maybe if you do, you're just gonna watch. You're not gonna have any effect on the environment around you because it won't make sense for the reasons we talked about before. And the other way of imagining the time travel is non-deterministic way, and it has been like in every movie actually, like even in Arabic movies, Samir Shahir Bahir, Samir Shahir Bahir.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie is the Lupa. This one he is trying to kill himself, or kill the older version of himself,
And
but
you actually also the good movie about time travel is I don't remember. It was Adam Sandler was starring it. Click It maybe or Click something
yeah,
like
click, yes.
that. Yeah, it was a
Click,
good
yeah,
movie
the movie
about
Click.
time travel.
Yes. Actually, I didn't see that movie, so I didn't include it. But yeah, I know it's about
I
time travel.
recommend it. It's a nice movie.
Okay, I'm gonna see it. Basically, I guess I've watched like most of the time travel movies, so maybe I need this one as well.
So I'm
But
sorry,
yeah,
Naboot, but earlier you said
mhm,
that it does not. There's nothing such like such time travel exists, right?
yes,
So you
yeah.
just watch the movies for fun, or you do believe in time travel?
No, I don't. I do not believe in time travel, but I watch like for as a sport for mind. Like you think
Okay.
about it. Yeah. Uh, So yeah, the movie, the Lufa, he is trying to kill his older self, but there is two different scenarios. He's either gonna kill himself or he's not, and we're gonna go with these two scenarios, and they are actually dependent on each other, and maybe it's gonna be a bit deterministic, but because of the end of the movie, it's not gonna be deterministic, and they're gonna change the future by changing the past. Also, the movie Back to the Future, we know that if he went back to the past and he changed anything, then his future is gonna change. Another movie is Mr. Nobody. This movie is not about time travel, but it looks at time travel from the butterfly effect concept, and it explains it really well. It's gonna state like uh, three different scenarios, and these three different scenarios are gonna get like another three different scenarios. So it's gonna be like really interesting and really shows the butterfly effect in real life actually. And after that, the butterfly effect is not better than Mr. Nobody movie, but also it addresses the concept. Also, we know Samir Shahiran about time and when we first met. Uh, the funny thing about the movie about time is when he actually got back when he came back to the future or the present, he found out that his children has been changed. He used to have a girl, but when he came back, it was a boy, because you know the probability of the having a child with his like aspects is really deterministic, and you cannot really go back in time if you're gonna have like this tiny or like heavily dependent closed or deterministic system like this one, like having a baby.
Okay.
So yeah, these are like most of the movies, but there is one movie that it's really has a unique idea about time travel, and this is like our last point here, which is the time travel in Avengers Endgame.
This movie is
Um,
so complicated. I hate it.
yeah, I love it actually because it brought a new concept of time travel, which is if you are going to go back in time, then this past is going to be your own future. So when you are going back to the past, you're actually living your new present. I think it's a bit complicated, but let's make an example. So let's say that someone is supposed to live like for 50 years. And we're going to say that when he got 30, he decided to go back in time and start over from he was born. So when he goes back in the past, he's only gonna live 20 years because he is already 30. So it's gonna add to him, add to his age and he is going to die at 50, but it's gonna be like 30 plus 20 years old in the past, and in addition to the 30 years he lived. So yeah, this is like a small presentation about time travel. And yeah, this is like the first slide. So any questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
Any comments?
Don't
Oh.
talk about the time travel again.
What?
Karim, why?
So many information. Give us what's this?
So what?
I didn't hear you.
Say it
So
again,
many
Karim. So
He gave
many
us-
information?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you. I want to say something regarding that. Anything else?